Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, welcome back to another episode of the show. A lot going on today, but the biggest, the largest, the most massive headline today is Cuomo is no-mo. That's right, y'all. Chris Cuomo, Fredo, as he's lovingly called by some of his detractors. He has had to step down indefinitely from his position at the bastion of real news. Just kidding. They don't say anything accurate. CNN. And he's had to do so because, as you all are probably aware, he has basically, what's the best way to put this, used his resources to try and help his crooked, corrupt, disgusting, sexual assaulting brother get ahead of things on his case. So he was essentially trying to run interference, trying to dig up dirt on his brother's accusers, stuff like that, using his CNN resources. And of course, that's like not cool in the world of journalism. So it's not cool, period. I can understand trying to be a good brother, trying to help your bro out, but he crossed integrity lines and in a kind of shocking move, to be quite honest, CNN has, what I don't know what you would call it, laid him off temporarily or laid him off or asked him to step down. But Chris Cuomo of the Brothers Cuomo is no longer at CNN for now. We'll see how long before he comes back. Obviously, CNN is doing this thing where they're like, oh, now that we know the full story, we've decided to let him go. But of course, they've known the whole time. They've known what's going on. Of course they have, y'all. I mean, the guy had his brother like on nightly during the pandemic. And I say that as though the pandemic has passed. But, you know, when things were really crazy during the pandemic, you guys probably remember Andrew Cuomo was going on all the time. Him and Chris were, you know, cutting it up and having a good time. And one of the funny things that Cuomo said, I guess it was his like official statement, I don't know what you would call it, but he said that the media had unfairly or unfavorably like spoken of his brother. Like they don't like his brother. I'm old enough to remember last year when the term Cuomo-sexual was coined and people couldn't get enough of Andrew Cuomo on the left. They said he's a true leader and this is a man who really knows what he's doing. You know, meanwhile, they're stacking bodies at the nursing homes because he feels compelled to send COVID-19 positive patients to nursing homes where they have the most susceptible members of the population. And of course, you know, the whole thing that I covered last time about him taking essentially resources from the state and using them to write and publish his book that he personally profits like over $5 million on. But anyway, none of that withstanding, the media absolutely treated this guy like he could do no wrong. They worshipped him. I mean, all you got to do is just go back and look at clips. They were like Team Cuomo all the way. And of course, trying to contrast him with Trump, talking about him as being like presidential material for the future and blah, 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 blah. It's always insane to me when I hear stuff like this, where you'll have folks on the left or folks in corporate media in general who are, you know, Democrat or whatever, try to say that like somehow the media is against them. It's always just like all you can do is laugh at it because it's so preposterous. But anyway, Cuomo is no-mo and kind of makes you feel a little good, makes you feel like a little bit of justice exists in this world. He should have been gone anyway because he is a sexual harasser and that whole thing came out and for some reason he kept his job. But then again, CNN did allow Lubin Jeffrey Toobin to stroke one out on Zoom and bring him back. So, hey, apparently they're very forgiving over there, or their bench just isn't that deep, to use a sporting term. But Chris Cuomo gone for now. So that's a thing that's happening, and that makes me happy because he's pretty much a terrible person in a lot of ways. So, you know, hopefully Don Lemon is next. but we'll see. I don't know. Let's not try to take a mile when they give us an inch, shall we? Next up, I want to talk about this organization. Oh boy, this organization. They're called Prostasia. I don't know if you guys have heard of Prostasia or the Prostasia Foundation, but it's run by this dude, Noah Berlatsky. And essentially, what's a nice way to, I don't need to put this a nice way, actually. It's a group for pedophiles, for pedos. I don't know if am I allowed to say the full word on YouTube? I don't know. But anyway, the Prostasia Foundation, this is how they describe themselves, all right? A child protection organization combining an evidence-based approach to child sexual abuse prevention with its commitment to human rights and sex positivity. Their whole goal is to destigmatize pedophilia, to essentially categorize pedophilia as like a sexual preference instead of a disgusting mental disease, which is what it is. Let's be clear here. They are a nonprofit, so they enjoy all the tax benefits of being a nonprofit. So they're like a pro-pedophilia organization that doesn't have to pay taxes, like, you know, kind of like a church or something. Not saying that's what they are, but that's what they are. They don't have to pay taxes, and they're trying to destigmatize pedophilia. They're also fighting the fight against, and you guys might remember this. I actually talked about this with Josh Kello when he was on here talking about the Rittenhouse trial. We talked briefly about like the moral and ethical concerns with having essentially sex dolls or sex robots based on children. And they're arguing in favor of this, okay? Just to give you a little idea of this organization. They also push for the use of the term MAP or MAPS to describe pedophiles instead of pedophile because, again, they want us to destigmatize this term and treat these people better. So they want us to call them MAPS, which stands for a minor attracted person. Man, I a lot of things I'd like to say here, but they and here's the crazy thing. So they're very openly like pro being attracted to children as an adult. Absolutely disgusting. And Shoe on Head, who is a YouTuber, she does a really, really good video on this. So I would encourage you all to check it out. She did a lot of deep research. She reads like quotes from their like, I guess, message board or forum or whatever. And it is, I'm telling you guys, it is absolutely disgusting stuff. But the reason I brought this up, so these guys, they're on Twitter. They're everywhere. And they have their website, prostasia.org. And might be a shocker. They're based out of San Francisco. Just kidding. That's not a shocker at all. But they are one of these organizations that you can, I think, donate to through Amazon. What is it? Amazon Smile or something like that. What is that Amazon program? Amazon Smile. So you have the option, guys, just in case you're wondering, to donate to a pro-pedophilia organization whose entire mission is to destigmatize pedophilia. You can give 0.5% of your purchases on Amazon to them. So, man, that's really crazy. That's really shocking. Jeff Bezos' huge corporation, Amazon, supports a pro-pedophilia organization. Not really surprised by that. Not surprised at all. But yeah, so that's Prostasia. And I just bring this up because, like, at one point, it was considered absolutely harebrained and outlandish when people were saying, you just wait, one day they're going to try to normalize that behavior. And here we are. There's an actual organization, a legitimate nonprofit organization whose entire goal is this. And you can donate to them through Amazon, which, hey, Amazon, how about some accountability here? We need an explanation as to why you're okay with this. But you can donate to them. I mean, they enjoy, like, this guy who runs it has like a verified account. I can't even get a verified account But this pro pedo guy, Noah Berlatsky, he's got like a verified Twitter account. It's just gross. It's gross. And I'm just scrolling through here looking at their Twitter. I mean, they have they shared this thing here. The diversity and complexity of child marriage. Guys, I'm telling you, this stuff is it's gross. I mean, it's truly gross. And look, they have followers. So they have on Twitter over 3,000 followers. Now, I don't know, I don't know if those people are fans of what they're doing or they're just trying to keep an eye on them. But ultimately, they exist and they have followers, and this is their goal. And it's pretty gross. They're trying to get rid of the sex offender registry again because they feel like it stigmatizes sex offenders. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And it should. Especially child sex offenders, especially them. Look, if you think that it's a little loose in terms of like what gets put on that registry, then talk about like the laws for that. But that registry needs to exist 100%. I understand if you're like, okay, an 18-year-old and a 16-year-old hook up, and the laws of that state mean that the 18-year-old end up having to be on. The 18-year-old ends up on the registry or whatever. Yeah, okay, right. That's different. I'm talking. We need to absolutely know about the Rosenbaums of the world, or as Mark Ruffalo would call him, JoJo. If somebody's out there anally raping 9 to 11-year-old boys, I want to know. I want to know where they are. I am the father of a small child, and the fact that, I mean, there's videos of people affiliated with these types of groups who say stuff like, they feel as though once a child is 4 or older, they can consent sexually. Take a second to think about that, guys. These people exist. This is a real thing. If you're a parent, I'm telling you, be mindful. Be mindful of the fact that there are people like this. I used to think, honestly, like, people who talk about stuff like this are paranoid. It's not that bad out there. It's that bad out there. I've been out in public with my daughter, and a couple times, like, creepy guys have tried to talk to her. She's 4 years old. Now, granted, most of the time it's in a scenario where they like don't see me, like maybe I'm around the corner or maybe she's with her mom and I went to grab something or whatever. But as soon as they see me, of course, they don't hang around for long. But I'm telling you guys, it's a real thing. And groups like Prostasia are trying to normalize it, and it's disgusting. And we need to create awareness around this, and we need to continue to fight the fight. Because here's the thing. And there's a quote. It's something like about men who won't take action, or I would absolutely butcher it, but anyway, it's just as bad to not take action when there's evil than to side with the evil, essentially. I mean, in so many words. So this is a perfect example. This is happening, and if you're like, oh, whatever, it's just some wackos, it's just they only got a following of 3,000 on Twitter, just crazy people, whatever. And you brush it off and you brush it off and you brush it off. Next thing you know, it's in the mainstream. They're trying to change the name of pedophile to minor affiliated person, and they're trying to talk about it like it's a sexual preference instead of a mental disease. This is real. This is real, guys, and we need to be vigilant in our commitment to making sure that stuff like this doesn't grow any larger than it already is. I mean, it's pretty gross already that you can donate through Amazon to a pro-pedophilia organization. So that's Prostasia. Check them out. Give them a look-see. What else? Alec Baldwin, our good old buddy Alec Baldwin, is back in the news. And this is what he's saying now. Now, I know you guys are probably shocked by this. I know it's probably going to really just catch you off guard and surprise you. But he finally sits down and has a conversation about it with ABC News, I think. But surprise, surprise, he blames it on the gun. He didn't pull the trigger. He doesn't know what happened. He just it just went off. It just went off. He didn't pull the trigger. So that's the big excuse now. And I know, again, it's probably shocking to everybody that this anti-gun guy is trying to blame a gun for gun violence. But, yeah, I'm not buying it for a second. I think that it's just par for the course. Of course, the guy's not going to take any accountability for his actions. Of course, he's going to claim he didn't pull the trigger. But here's the thing. Even if you didn't pull the trigger, you're still pointing a loaded weapon at someone. You're still pointing a loaded weapon at someone. But I still believe he pulled the trigger. I still believe he pulled the trigger. And look, now it's not like this can be proven or not, right? It's just his word that we're supposed to believe. And we have a woman who's dead, all right? So that's where we are, guys. This guy shoots someone, murders them in cold blood, and he said, quote, quote, the trigger wasn't pulled. I didn't pull the trigger. This is from CNN Entertainment. So see, you guys, I use all the sources, okay? Don't tell me that I'm biased in where I look. I look everywhere. When asked why he pointed the gun at Hutchins and pulled the trigger when that wasn't in the script, Baldwin said, I would never point a gun at anyone and then pull the trigger. Never. Well, here's what happened, buddy. You did. You pointed the gun at someone. He also said he has no idea how a live bullet got into the Colt .45 revolver he used in the scene. Someone put a live bullet in the gun, a bullet that wasn't even supposed to be on the property, he said. Oh man, this is crazy. Somebody not taking responsibility and trying to blame others for their actions. Wow, haven't seen that like every fucking second of every day in this world we live in. An emotional Baldwin visibly fights back tears when talking about Hutchins. She was someone who was loved by everyone who worked with her, liked by everyone who worked with her, and admired. It doesn't seem real to me. Oh, it doesn't seem real to you. So sorry, Alec. So sorry that you're going through this, bro. Sure, it doesn't seem real to her fucking family. When asked by George Stephanopoulos, another shining beacon of journalistic integrity, if the shooting was the worst thing that had ever happened to him, Baldwin said yes. Quote, because I think back and I think, what could I have done? How about not pointing a gun at someone, bro? The scene didn't even call for a gun. That's a great start. That's what you could have done. Let's see. What else here? What else is CNN saying about this? Yeah. Oh, Baldwin has said he believes that police officers should be present on, quote, every film/TV set that uses guns, fake or otherwise, to monitor weapons safety. You better be careful, man. Calling for more police. You're going to get some crap from the far left ACAB movement, bro. Now he's probably made enemies with the squad. This is good, man. Shout out to Super Rooster Booster energy drink. Guys, I've been crushing these lately. Probably not good for me, but they are so delicious. And I get them at the QT gas station. So if you're ever looking for a nice bump, go there and get that. And if you guys want to sponsor the show, please hit me up. Also, you probably have noticed my bespectacled face. If you would like to sponsor the show, Pit Viper, please hit us up. And by us, I mean me, once again, because this is a mother effing one-man show. Okay, last thing I want to talk about, and this is quite egregious. And I'm going to cut it pretty short today, y'all, because I'm actually doing an interview with a really cool dude later this evening, my buddy Julius Alexander, who is a TikTok star, YouTube star. He plays Tarzan in a bunch of children's YouTube shows, I guess you would call it, and he's huge on TikTok. I'm really excited to talk to him and talk about how he grew to where he is and how he does what he does and everything. So you guys will hopefully enjoy that interview. Actually, there's two things I want to talk about. Sorry. The first, okay, the Ghislaine trial is going on. Obviously, there's, a whole bunch, and I've already said I'll probably just do an episode specific to the whole Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeff Epstein thing. But one thing that was really weird that just struck me as like, is one of the jurors who was assigned to the Ghislaine Maxwell trial, basically was able to leave and got excused from the trial because supposedly his wife had gotten him a surprise vacation for Christmas. So this guy, let me see here. It says that the judge relented after a day of weighing the timing conflict. For the juror who lives in the Bronx and works for a government entity. All right. Well, this person who works for a, quote, government entity. This is from Bloomberg, by the way. Was able to be excused from the trial just because his wife got him a Christmas vacation. So, it's odd that he even, I don't know. It's odd that you can even consider that stuff. Like, what? I don't know. I don't know enough about jury duty, so maybe this is something I'll ask my buddy Josh about again. I feel like I say that all the time. There's so much legal stuff that we can talk to Josh about. But the judge said Tuesday that she'd made the decision after asking the juror to call his spouse and ask if the trip could be delayed, and found that, quote, he made an effort and can't move the vacation. She said he told her it was a financial burden to cancel, and she didn't want to delay the trial to allow the juror to take the vacation. The juror will be replaced with one of the 6 alternates. The alternates include a 36-year-old who studied civil engineering in the Dominican Republic and now works as a real estate broker, a 54-year-old who lives in Westchester but works maintenance in the city. Okay, interesting. Maxwell is charged with trafficking girls for abuse by her ex-boyfriend, Jeffrey Epstein, and participating in some of the abuse herself. She faces as long as 40 years in prison if convicted on the most serious charge, and in my opinion, that's not long enough. All right? And there's a bunch of juicy stuff going on with the trial. We talked about it some. I was a guest on We the People Radio. Shout out to those guys. I had a blast talking to them. We ended up doing like 2.5 hours or something. It was an awesome conversation, wide-ranging on everything from science to politics and all kinds of stuff. But super, super cool group of dudes. I had a blast talking to them. So that should be coming out hopefully pretty soon. And I'll probably ask them if I can get a copy to put on my YouTube and on my Spotify or my Spotify and Apple and all that stuff. So last thing I just want to touch on really quick, and this came out in BuzzFeed. So when I tell you guys you got to use multiple sources of news, you've probably noticed each one of these things I've talked about today, an article from some different source of news. Like you really do need to be broadly looking for the news in different places. So this is from BuzzFeed, and the headline is CIA files say staffers committed sex crimes involving children, and they were not prosecuted. It really pains me that 3 of the things I have to talk about today involves sex crimes against children. All right? Prostasia, Ghislaine Maxwell, and now this article on BuzzFeed about the CIA. What is up with all of these sick people perpetrating sex crimes against children, man? Like, there is probably nothing in this world that makes me want to inflict bodily harm on someone more than the thought of a grown human doing anything like that to my daughter or any child for that matter. But yet here it is in the headlines, constantly, man, what is going on? So a declassified CIA Inspector General report shows a pattern of abuse and a repeated decision by federal prosecutors not to hold agency personnel accountable. That's the worst part. A repeated decision not to hold them accountable. This is an article by Jason Leopold and Anthony Cormier. This is, again, with BuzzFeed News. So I'm just going to read a little bit of this to you guys. Look it up yourself. But over the past 14 years, the CIA has secretly amassed credible evidence that at least 10 of its employees and contractors committed sexual crimes involving children. What the fuck? At least 10 CIA employees over the past decade and a half or less have committed sex crimes involving children. 10. Just shy of a dozen. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people, y'all. 10 people. Picture 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people standing in a line, all of them committing sex crimes against children. Though most of these cases were referred to U.S. attorneys for prosecution, only one of the individuals was ever charged with a crime. Prosecutors sent the rest of the cases back to the CIA to handle internally, meaning that few faced any consequences beyond the possible loss of their jobs and their security clearances. Oh, you poor thing. That marks a striking deviation from how sex crimes involving children have been handled at other federal agencies, such as the Department of Homeland Security and the DEA. The CIA insiders say the agency resists prosecution of its staff for fear the cases will reveal state secrets. Well, isn't that just convenient? Isn't that nice for the pedos that get to work at the CIA? Oh, can't reveal state secrets. Guess you got to let me just keep diddling kids. The revelations are contained in hundreds of internal agency reports obtained by BuzzFeed News through the Freedom of Information Act. All right, guys. I mean, Jesus. Like, I'm seldom at a loss for words, but this is gross. Okay, I'm gonna read this next part, and that's it. Just because, all right. One employee had sexual contact with a 2-year-old and a 6-year-old. He was fired. Oh, good. He was fired. Sorry. I want to put my hand through a wall. A second employee purchased 3 sexually explicit videos of young girls filmed by their mothers. He resigned. A third employee estimated that he had viewed up to 1,400 sexually abusive images of children while on agency assignments. Okay, well, he could have just been investigating those types of crimes. The records do not say what action, if any, the CIA took against him. There has to be more to that story. A contractor who arranged for sex with an undercover FBI agent posing as a child had his contract revoked. Oh, these people make my skin crawl. Okay, only one of the individuals, like we said, cited in the documents was charged with a crime. In that case, as in the only previously known case of a CIA staffer being charged with child sexual crimes. That's kind of a weird sentence. The employee was also under investigation for mishandling classified material. Okay. All right, guys. Read the rest of this. It's a long article. There's a lot in here, but the bottom line is essentially the CIA lets child sex offenders get away with their crimes who work for them. So, yeah, absolutely disgusting. Disgusting stuff. And it's inexcusable. Like I said, I really hate that 3 of the things I have to talk about today involve sex crimes against children. And, I really don't have anything else to say beyond that. Like I said, I'm talking to Julius Alexander this evening, so I'll hopefully have that interview up in the next day or two. Should be a good one. And until next time, my friends, keep your minds free.